What's up YouTube? My name's Quickie, welcome back to the channel. Look, paddock stands. I'm hoping it doesn't fall off. It wobbles about a bit, but it looks all right. So today is Thursday. Is it Thursday? Yeah, Thursday. And Simon Rolls is in the house. Now, he might appear on film. If he does, you'll recognise him because he'll be the one with the pixelated face. He's not too happy about being on film. However, he is very good at doing suspension. So what I'm doing today is I've got a problem with these adjusters. I've had a monkey about the setup and whatnot. Went to adjust the damping, and all that's happening is the thing spins and it clicks as it spins, but it's not actually adjusting anything. And there's like a million clicks per fork. So something is obviously a little bit wrong. The man reckons he knows what the trouble is. There are some things I would like to change about it as well. To me, well, we'll see what Simon thinks when we go through and do the setup on it. But to me, it wants a little bit more damping in the front, because if you bounce it, it kind of comes past the top and comes back again. It turns in all right and everything else, but there is that bounce to it. And the back is a little bit slow, I think. So as you're going over bumps, and there's plenty around Plymouth, I think it's going down, but it's not returning quick enough. So essentially the back is being held too low, because as you start giving it some beans coming out of a corner, and now the tyres are a little bit more scrubbed in as well, you know, depending on how bumpy and stuff it is, you can't really hold a line coming out of a turn. So that's kind of my line of thought at the minute. I could be completely wrong, but we'll see what the man thinks it is. So apparently, first things first, we need to get the caps off the top and get that adjuster rod out, or damping rod. That is what you want, isn't it? Just the cap and the rod. Yep. Awesome. Right, let's get the spanners out then. Right, so this is the cap assembly. I'm not sure if you can see down there. Can you see through there? Where are you? Down there. On the fire blade that I had, and also the Asbo front end, this bit is threaded. You know, there's an M10x1 thread on this. So essentially, as you're turning the damper rod, which obviously just goes up through there, as you're turning this, it's winding itself in and out, which changes the position of, you know, because this basically comes down to a point and goes into a load of valving at the bottom of the fork leg. On this, it doesn't. This is sort of D-shaped, so it's flat here and rounded here. So this is engaging in an adjuster that's buried in the bottom of the fork leg. There is nothing that limits this. We've just shoved the damper rod into the fork leg and turned it, and it's all basically turning and clicking quite happily, and you could do that all day if you wanted to in the same direction. So to try and get to the bottom of it, I've got to take all the forks apart, which means getting the forks out, which means separating everything at the front, which was a massive pain, but it needs to get done. What's the time? 9 o'clock, and I need to leave at 12:30. Maybe 1. So we'll see how we go. Well, I might be leaving a bit later today, eh? Right. Yeah, I quite like it with wide bars like that. Anyway. Really right then. We are having issues. We're having quite a few issues actually. First one is with the paddock stand on, and the front mudguard on, you still can't get the front wheel out. That's a bit of a problem. So I just have to mental note to self, before you stick the front on, I need to put boards down or something just so I can raise it up a little bit. Second thing is, we've had the springs and stuff, because what we want to do is to get the forks out so we can check this adjuster thingy at the bottom, and it looks like all the adjustment is done through this jobby at the bottom, and the rebound damping, it's a tube that runs from the bottom of the adjuster up on the outside of the damper rod, because the damper rod at the top isn't threaded or anything else. It's just turning this assembly at the bottom of the thing. So we had the forks out. There's my fork. That's the spring, progressive spring. And according to the book of words, and also the workshop manual, like the proper one,
438.
Spring length on a C model should be 438 mil, and the service limit is 429 mil. So they do get shorter because you squash them quite a bit. This one, if you measure it, is coming up as 455 mil, which is quite a bit longer than what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Which is not necessarily a good thing. It does explain a couple of things if I think it through, because where I was doing my own little starter for 10 setup, when I came out 2 rings on the preload and it dropped by 3 mil, I would expect it to go down a lot more than that. Like quite a lot more than that actually, and it just ends. So essentially it's the length of the spring that is stopping it from dropping down. So I need to try and source some proper springs for this, which I need to Google and see where I can get them from. And then the other thing is, just trying to get the damn thing out is a nightmare with plastics on. Oh yeah, more about plastics in a minute. So we've come up with a cunning plan. The rear, I don't know when it was last, it doesn't look like a really old one or anything else. It looks like it's, you know, it's quite clean, and I think it's an aftermarket jobby. But we don't know if there's gas in it, we don't know, you know, anything about it really. So the cunning plan is, when I go away on holiday, the day before, I'm having the forks out and the shock out, and it will be up on paddock stands for the week. Simon's going to have all that lot for me, and he's going to get it sorted, and I'll give him the new springs and stuff as well. And he can basically stick it all together, get the adjusters working, and get it all set up. And we can also get the rear shock re-gassed and, you know, just serviced and all that sort of stuff as well. That way I know that all the suspension is working as it should be. At the minute, everything works, it's perfectly rideable. It's not dangerous or anything else, but it's not as good as it could be, and stuff isn't working as it should. And I've got the wrong springs in it. So that's the plan. Curiously enough, Jack also stuck his head in the door. I've told him about me being on holiday, so that's when he's going to be respraying my tank. He's also mortally embarrassed about the top fairing and the run that he put in it. But I've also now found where I put all the fixings in and tightened it up. It's fine when I tightened it up. However, with vibration and various other bits and pieces, bloody top fairing's cracked. So that needs repairing and repainting, but he's going to do it at the same time because he'll be mixing the paint up, and he got extras anyway, just in case. So the bike is coming apart again when I go on holiday, and various bits is getting sorted, but it's getting sorted. Right, time is now 10 o'clock. I need to put all this back together again so I can go to work later on. That's a bugger about that though, isn't it? Someone's obviously being in. Yeah. Why would you put in longer springs, apart from they're the only ones that you've got?
If you were, shall we say, of the larger persuasion.
Oh yeah, big heavy lad.
Yeah, didn't want to put the right stuff in, but could get hold of XYZ.
It's just got...
The other favourite is to wind the compression preload right the way down as well.
But the thing is, you can get stiffer springs the same length, can't you?
Yeah.
So I'm just baffled as to why this spring is longer.
But if that fork hasn't been apart in 20 years, stuff is more accessible these days, although that spring does look very new.
It's got WO2 on it, what does that mean?
Don't know.
Because normally you get it stamped on the top here, don't
yeah,
you?
the aftermarket stuff, K-Tech, that kind of thing. Will have a weight stamped into it.
Right.
And plus it's progressive. I don't know if those are progressive. They're supposed to be progressive or linear.
I think looking at the pictures, they are progressive springs. Oh, I don't know.
That's linear.
But then you look at that one, it's different to that one.
That's on the.
That's a C, that's a D.
Yeah. And you got the C, which is supposed to be linear.
Well, I'm just going to get the stock ones.
Yeah. Because then it will work. So not only have you got too long.
Somebody's probably gone, oh, progressive springs are just better.
Yeah.
I'm going to get some. Yeah. I don't care how long they are, I'm getting some and they're going in.
Bikes in 1996.
Yeah, it's about right actually, isn't it? It's about the right time. Right then, okay. Right, so it's all going back together again. I've just cleaned up my brake disc. Yeah, with some of this goo, same thing with the caliper. There was a little bit of oil up the top here on the stanchion, so I think one of the seals is weeping. But having a chat with Si, what we're going to do is when he has the forks to sort it all out when I'm on my holidays, in my mankini, this is a scary thought, we're just going to go to town on it because the bike did 62,000 miles in the first 10 years and then nothing for like 20 odd years or whatever else. And I fully accept that bikes come off the road for a reason. I think this one is 5th gear. But that, you know, this is probably a case of it's just sat there. There is a little bit of pitting, so, and it hasn't moved at all. So me start using it, you know, I think things are going to start to, you know, if they're a little bit perished or the rubbers ain't that happy or whatever, this is when it's all going to start coming to light. So there are, and I'm fully expecting there to be little bits and pieces like this that we need to do. But when we're on holiday, we'll get all the suspension, you know, stripped and sorted properly, set up, we'll get the proper springs in there. Might as well do bushes as well as a seal kit.
It should have linear, not.
Yeah, but I just want to put it back to stock. And then we was chatting. So, yeah, I just want to put it back to stock because, you know, it's a bit of a beastie in its day and it's a very capable bike. So I went, look, what was the website? What was it?
How many left?
How many left?
.co.uk.
So you can go to that website. I think it's just UK.
Co.uk.
Yeah. But basically it's like you can put in the model of a bike and find out how many are left. So he did that, and for this bike, the ZZR1100 C1, go on, how many?
28.
28 left. 28 of these left. And then he went on to the other website. What was it that does the how many's on the road?
Yeah, how many left? Basically, yeah, logbook.
Oh, yeah. What was it? Logbook.what?
Co.uk again.
You're right. Okay. And apparently this website takes its information from the DVLA and, you know, for MOTs and all that sort of stuff. And what was it you're saying? 24 of them on the road.
No, ZZRs.
Yeah.
So that'll be the 1100s and the 600s.
And the 600.
And the 14s, because they're ZZRs.
Right, okay.
It's 304.
304?
In the country. That are road legal.
That are road legal. That's more than 28 then.
Yeah, but that is all of the ZZR family.
Oh, right, okay. So not just the 1100s and stuff. Yeah. But there's 28 of these left.
Yeah.
See, we should probably discuss my plans for this now, which might be changing based on that. So...
That's a respring.
Because I know there's only 28 of these left now, and I want to look after it. So my original plan, which might be changing, I don't really know, is in my temporary storage, I've got that S-Rad that Taz gave me, that we went and got from Norfolk. So it's I can't remember what year, I think it's in the 90s or something, but it's the S-Rad 600. Come on, go in. So the idea is, once I've finished fettling with this, and it all gets sorted, and all those niggly little jobs is done, and I'm basically happy with everything, then this is just a daily, and Asbo's coming back on the ramp and I'm getting him sorted and finished. More about him later on, but that's basically what I want to do, get him done and dusted, and then we're on to the S-Rad. So the S-Rad was going to be and it still is going to be, an out-and-out track bike. It's not going to be road legal. The idea is that we add lightness, so as much as I can take off and chuck in the bin, that's what I'm doing. But then once I've got it happy, and it will be run on stock suspension, we'll just, you know, we'll Simon in and we'll get it done properly and rebuild everything, because it's in a proper sorry state at the minute. If it needs to get replaced, it gets replaced, but I want to run it as stock. It'll have a mild tune on it, so, you know, K&L filter set up on a dyno, all that sort of stuff, so we can get it as good as we can. I might go to town a little bit on the engine a little bit later on, but I don't know, it just depends what it does. But then I'll have like a really good test bike. So the idea is that once I get it so I'm happy with it, and we've got a few track days under our belt, and I know the geometry and, you know, the wheelbase and position of the swing arm and the rake and trail and all that other sort of stuff, I've got a frame jig sitting over there doing nothing. So we'd strip it down, shove the frame on that and get it all set up for that geometry, and then I could make a cool looking frame, might be a feather bed or something like that, based on the S-Rad's geometry, that will take the engine out of this. And then the idea was to make it look a little bit old school and make it look a bit like one of the Manx TT racer type things, you know, like the old cafe, but with the fairings and all that stuff, because you'd be able to hide all the radiator and the oil cooler and all that sort of thing. And this engine's wicked, makes more than enough power, and it's real simple. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, fifth would get sorted for that point as well. That would be split the cases and paint everything and dress it all up and blah de blah de blah. But now I'm thinking, if there's only 28 of these left, it's a bit of a shame to chop it up, really, isn't it? 28, I don't believe, well, I do believe it, because it's, you know, on the government site and stuff, but there's only 28 of them left.
And you've just resprayed it.
But, well, yeah, but then bits is really hard to get to. Bits is really hard to get, because they're all obsolete, they're not made anymore, so you're either looking at second-hand stuff on eBay, you know, or you're making something, but when it comes down to plastics and all that sort of thing, that's not the easiest thing in the world, is it?
No. And then they charge you a fortune for the stickers.
I'll make my own stickers, I ain't gonna have stock ones on it. But I don't know, it just seems to be, I don't know, well, plans might be changing, I might not be chopping it up. See, what I could do is, well, I'm going to be running it for a couple of years anyway, whilst I'm sorting all, you know, all the other sort of stuff out and deciding exactly what I'm going to do. If it's a bit temperamental, or I drop it and I need plastics or whatever, and the cost of doing it just outweighs the benefits of keeping it, might end up with there's only 27 left. And I may well chop it up. I mean, you could sell it. It's never going to go for that much.
No, but you've been through it, so you know you're going to have a steady donor bike.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It'd be a cool plan. It would be a cool plan. But I do quite like the idea of just keeping it now. The Sty's still grubbing about on his websites and stuff. When was this first MOT'd?
May the 4th.
May the 4th. 1990. Star Wars Day. So in my head, I'm thinking it might have just earned a name, if I'm honest. Because it's Star Wars, isn't it? Everybody loves Star Wars. So, I don't know, it might be getting called Bubba Fettle. Well, who else would you call it out of Star Wars? You wouldn't really, would you? What was the little tin can thing called?
R2.
Well, that's boring. Bubba Fettle, I think it could be a goer. What else was it that you found?
There was all sorts of...
You really can go down a rabbit hole, can't you?
Yeah.
You really, really can.
Yeah, It's the only grey one in the country.
So well, that's because I resprayed. It can't be the only grey one.
The only grey one that's registered.
They did grey as stock. I'm going to shove a tap down there.
And the mauvey purple.
Mauvey purple thing.
Like
Originally, this was purple and orange.
Yeah, like a shell suit.
Yeah, like a shell suit. It did look horrible, though. It has to be said. In that colour scheme, it was just. Apart from that, it's like. I mean, Asbo was purple.
From the MOT site.
The MOT
all the different
site.
Colours. And how many?
Great. What? See, I don't. So there's going to be. Right. See, I'm getting confused. Apparently, there's 28 ZZR1100 C1s left.
Yeah.
But this says black. There's 30 of.
That's
What is it?
ZZRs in general.
Oh, ZZRs in general.
Yeah.
So 30 black, 30 green, 20 red, 19 blue. Multicolour is 2. I wonder if that's the purple and orange.
The nasty one.
The nasty one. Could well be. White is 1. Why would you paint it white? Grey is 1. And the maroon, there's 1 of them as well. And that's 1990s. Ah. So, as I've already said, Simon does like all the suspension and stuff. And you've done like, because you went on a suspension course and all that stuff, didn't you? And it was like K-Tech and Öhlins and...
Reactive suspension.
Reactive suspension, right. How long have you been doing it?
About 6 years. About
6 years. And he's also, is it you run Southwest? Yeah, so he runs southwestbikers.com, which is basically like a forum. I mean, obviously it's based for, Southwest fellas and that, but I suppose you get people from elsewhere do it. And he also organises like track days and stuff abroad. So, because you did Portimao not that long ago. Where are you going this time?
Portimao again.
Portimao again, is it?
Yeah, through no limits.
Right, okay. So, so he's quite active and all that, but he also does like suspension setups and stuff as well, because obviously he's doing this one. I don't really care if I dink the tank, because Jack's doing it again. I shouldn't do, really. But what was I going to say? Yeah, he does all his suspension and stuff, but basically does it as like, he's got a proper job, but this is kind of like his hobby, a bit like me doing all this stuff as well. And like he can rebuild forks and rear shocks and all that other sorts of stuff. So he does do a good job, and there's like, you get loads of repeat fellas coming back and can you do setup on my new bike and all that sort of thing as well. So, proof's in the pudding. He's been doing it for 6 years. So if you're in the neighbourhood and you want someone who knows what they're doing to have a go at your bike, go on the forum and give him a shout. I mean, obviously, you will be paying for it. And the cost probably depends on what it is that you're doing, I suppose, as well.
Yeah, how long it takes. If it's all seized up, then obviously there's going to be more work involved.
I bet you see some horrible stuff come through as well, don't you? So, all right, say on this then, if someone was to go, I've got one of those 28 ZZRs that's knocking around, but I want a set of forks, completely stripping, rebuilding, new oil, new bushes, new seals, all that sort of stuff. Ballpark, we won't hold it to you.
No, I don't provide any kit, so you provide your oil, seals, all that kind of stuff.
All right, so they can source it themselves then?
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah, because different people like different quality oils, different kinds of oils, different manufacturing of oils.
Right. So
they might want Öhlins springs or K-Tech springs or just standard springs.
Yeah.
So that way it's spec'd to what they want.
Yeah, I mean you can give advice on all that stuff
so,
anyway, can't you?
And what weight springs to go for. But
yeah.
So all the kit turns up to my place.
Yeah.
Either it's posted to mine or they bring it with the shocks.
Yeah.
Depending if it's a ride in, ride out service or if it's just giving you loose.
So they could just give you a bike and you'll strip it all out, or they could just give you a set of forks and you'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So, okay. So, and then as far as like track setups and all that sort of stuff, because I know you do all that as well.
Yeah.
If somebody goes bounce it up and down and set it so it goes a bit quicker,
yeah.
or it stops doing this thing that's causing me a problem. What, you do that mostly at track days, or?
No, I've done it at the house.
So like this, you can just...
Yeah, just take measurements and do a setup and let you go for a test ride, come back.
Good, bad, indifferent, yeah.
Adjust it to suit, and then go back out and test it.
So if there's no sort of service or maintenance work or stripping it and regassing it and all this, it's literally just set up. Yeah. What you know, what would that go for? 50 quid. See, that's not bad, is it? 50 quid.
You're basically paying for the time and the little bit of knowledge I can retain.
Yeah, but it does, like, you get a proper setup, that does make a massive difference.
Yeah.
Like, huge. That turns an unrideable bike into something that's on rails half the time, I've found. Right, I'm hoping this ain't going to fall over. It shouldn't do, it should be fine. It should be fine. You just find that the wheels come off the front of the ramp before the jacks. Right, okay. Ease out. I'm loving these. These are really good. Right, we're still yapping. Yesterday I made a thing. I did. Where is it? There you go. I made a thing. So that is literally all it is. It's made out of alley, M5 hole in each end, drilled and tapped and blah-de-blah-de-blah. And this is going to go on the bottom of the fairing and basically tie the two sides together. Because at the minute it's just zip tied because I'm missing that fairing panel, but he's going to sit in there sort of out the way and it will just tie it all together. So hopefully nothing rattles. Where's my cutters? If we get this shoved in, what's the time now? 20 to 12? Pretty much there really, aren't we? His sound as his sight, he's dead good. So it is a little bit of a shameless plug for him, I get that, but the fella's helping me out, and if I can help him out in return, then I'm happy to do so. Loads of people really rate his work as far as suspension setup and servicing and all that sort of stuff goes. I think he's based in Tinmouth, but the best way to get hold of him is through the southwestbikers.co.uk forum. I'm going to put links and everything else in the description. So if you're interested in getting your bike sorted as far as suspension goes, you can get in touch with him through that. He runs it. Or if you want to give him a call, drop me a message and I'll give you his phone number. So that's all fine. But he's had loads of people that, you know, have had set up and just come back to him and go to see him at track days, or they post their shocks and forks off to him and he sorts it out and sends it back. And the cool thing is that you can buy your own service kits and stuff. So if you can source some, you know, cheap, or you've got a specific set of springs that you want, or, you know, whatever you want, you can get it, he'll fit it and set it up properly for you. So he's dead good. There's also, who else did I want to mention? Oh, Monkey Allen. Monkey Allen. I said he's going through something at the minute, which I think is quite cool. But he's properly into his bikes. You would have seen his name come up on the patrons thing, you know, the list of patrons that we do. But he's actually going through college at the minute and he's learning how to basically restore a motorcycle. So he's got himself a Bandit and he's properly going to town on it as well, everything. I'll put some pictures up so you can see, but he's, you know, he's modified the frame, he's painted it all himself, he's had a crack at the engine and blah, 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 blah. He's put truckloads of work into this and he's now at the point where he's got a roller, which is dead good. It's the first time he's been messaging me constantly. You know, we're having all this banter and stuff, but I think he's doing brilliant on this. And it just goes to show you, going and doing like a proper course, you can pick up all the tips and tricks and methods of doing stuff and have a go with a knowledgeable bloke there helping you out and steering you right and, you know, all that sort of stuff. Whereas what I did was basically just wheeled a bike in and started having a go. You know, I'm not trained, I'm not qualified as a mechanic or any of that stuff, I'm just picking stuff up as I'm going along. So it's taken me a lot longer to get the hanger stuff than it's going to take him, and it's worth doing. There is another fella, Jordan Jackson. He doesn't know I'm mentioning him. Jordan Jackson, he proper loves his bikes and stuff as well. I haven't got any pictures of what he's got or what he's been up to, but he's going through a proper apprenticeship for fabrication and welding, which is basically what I do. I know he watches the channel and all that sort of stuff, so you know it's kind of cool to give the fella a shout out and stuff. But he's well into all this stuff, so again he's got himself on a proper apprenticeship. He loves his bikes. He's probably going to have a go at something like this in some point, I would imagine. I'll be really interested to see what he comes up with. But there is no substitute for going and doing a proper course. If you go back to Si, he's done like the proper suspension school and all that sort of stuff, and it's all to do with K-Tech and he can work on other stuff, but it's predominantly K-Tech and Öhlins that he's been trained in and whatnot. But you can monkey about for ages, like tweaking suspension and getting it right and trying to learn what does what and all that sort of stuff. And you will get there in the end, but these folks that have gone through and got the qualification and all that sort of stuff, they'll just get there quicker and do a better job of it in a shorter time scale than you will. So, I kind of wish I'd done all that really, instead of doing it the way that I've been doing it. So anyway, at the minute, what comes next? Well, I've got a slight weep on one of the seals. I'm pretty sure. I am pretty sure actually, and I think that's just because the forks haven't been used in 20 years, and now everything's starting to move, stuff is starting to leak. I am going to keep an eye on it and see how we go, because now I know potentially it's an issue. It's like, okay, well, should I be riding it, or should I just take it off the road and get it done? That presents a number of problems. There are some things I can do, like try and clean out the seal and start to see if that helps, and blah blah blah. But we'll see. I'll keep you updated. But again, this is one of the points that I wanted to make, is that even though you've worked on the bike and you've done everything as good as you can do and get it MOT'd, you haven't actually ridden the bike and it's not been ridden in ages, you're going to get all this quirky little stuff going wrong that you need to address. And you do need to address it. You can't just leave it, because it ain't going to get any better on its own, is it? It's not going to fix itself. So, there is a little bit of post-fettling that's going to be needed. And it's all going to get done, and you'll see what's what, just because that's reality. I'm trying to be as transparent as possible. It's not like, oh, I've got an MOT, it's all fine. Ride off into the sunset and you never see the bike again. I want you to know what the issues are and what has to be done to look after a bike of this age, basically, and this sort of history. So that's where we are. On Saturday, the weather is looking up, and I was chatting with Jamie yesterday. He needs to have a go on this. He needs to have a go. I know it's not all fettled and finished and spanky and everything else yet. The tank still needs painting and the fork still needs sorting and blah 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 blah. But he needs to have a go. I think he'd be quite impressed actually. So Saturday morning he's going to come to the shop and we're going to go out hooning. Hopefully I've sorted out GoPro mounts and all that sort of stuff. Oh, I need to charge them. But we'll go out and we'll have a bit of a laugh and we'll take you along for the ride as well. But anyway, that's where I'm leaving it for this one. Thank you ever so much for watching. I do hope you're well and staying safe. We'll see you on the next one. Laters.